Welcome to No Nonsense Wellness, where we talk all things GLP-1 health. Whether you're taking Wegovy, Ozempic, Mounjaro, Zepbound, or another weight loss medication, this is your community for wellness support and honest conversation. Disclaimer here, I'm not a doctor, not a medical professional in any way. I'm just a user of these drugs, and this is my personal experience, and I'm telling you what I would tell a friend. So you should definitely talk to your doctor or other healthcare provider about these details. If you're starting Ozempic or Zepbound, you're already taking a big step towards metabolic health. So starting a medication like this can feel really overwhelming, and these are just my practical tips to get you going. The first thing that I would tell you is this is a marathon, not a sprint. So when I started by looking at before and after pictures online, I saw that people were spending anywhere from 12 months to a year and a half to really see big changes in their bodies. But people were seeing changes in their health way before that. So at the beginning, I was like, I'm not going to stress out about what happens in a month or 3 months or even 6 months. I'm going to give it a year. And if after a year, I don't feel like it's really helped me that much, then I can stop it. But I'm committing to a minimum of a year. That helped me to start slow. It just took all the stress that I'd had about doing previous diets where I wanted to see results within like 2 weeks to a month. That stress was just gone. And then all I had to think about was taking the medication and taking care of my health. The best outcomes for people come with being consistent. I definitely wanted to consistently take it over a year, but there were some shortage issues, and pretty early on, I missed a week. But I was able to just tell myself, okay, you have a year, don't worry about a week. A week doesn't really matter. Since then, there have been a couple of other times that I've missed a week for a variety of reasons. And again, I don't even think it has slowed me down at all. When I look at a graph of my weight loss, it's a pretty consistent slope. So any little issues will get evened out over time. Sticking with it for a year may sound intimidating, especially when we talk about affording it for a year. But think of it as a structured period to really settle in and give yourself a year to also develop new habits. You may have side effects at first, like nausea or fatigue, and that also tends to go away for people over time. So again, if you're thinking of it like, hey, I'm doing this for a year, on day 2, you might have side effects, but within a year, the side effects are no problem. I know for me, when I started, I would get really bad fatigue. And now I don't have fatigue at all. If the side effects are really bad, then definitely talk to your medical provider right away. The goal is to keep you on the medication long enough for it to do its job. If you use one of the telehealth companies, you may have access to a nutritionist who also would have suggestions for you. And then I've also heard of people's doctors prescribing them Zofran if they're having nausea at first. Just do whatever you need to do to stay on the medication for at least a year. If after a year, you don't really feel like it's helped you or it isn't worth it, then you'll know like, hey, I gave it a good year. That's what I told myself. I've been really happy with it, but I do plan on staying on this medication for the rest of my life because I wasn't someone who had just recently gained a little bit of weight. I've been like this for most of my adult life, and I believe that in order to help my body, I am going to need to be on a medication like this or something similar for the rest of my life. So when I started, my provider recommended starting with a whole food plant-based diet, and I can strongly endorse that, at least for starting. I didn't stay on it, but I think it helped me out so much to get started. And you don't have to go fully vegan, but that was really what she advocated. If you just focus on whole, minimally processed plant foods, it can help you with digestion. The fiber increase really helped me. It can help you with digestion, nutrient intake, and satiety. So what I'm eating a lot of right now is green vegetables, cucumbers, parsley, peas, edamame, and I eat a lot of pineapple, but citrus is in season and we have a ton of grapefruit. It is amazingly good right now. So I recommend go out. If you like grapefruit, go out and get yourself some delicious grapefruit. My doctor told me anecdotally that none of her patients had had digestive issues that were on GLP-1s, and she recommended that they all start with basically a vegan diet, but she wasn't saying you had to be 100% vegan. just like ease yourself more towards that end of the spectrum. After a couple of months, I ended up adding in animal meat, but still basically, if I can explain this, trying to eat like a vegan diet plus animal meat. So not eating highly processed foods and not eating the animal meat as the primary thing on my plate. It was like I added in the protein that way. And then I still would use mostly tofu and vegan protein shakes to supplement. So I had a mixture of the plant-based protein and the animal-based protein. All right, the third thing is getting enough fiber. I still try to eat as much fiber as I can a day coming in through my diet. And I just want to say one thing. Usually by day 5, the fullness part of the shot will drop off. But I just see that as an opportunity to pack in the fiber and maybe a little more protein. So if you have that and you're feeling like, oh man, I'm hungrier on days 5, 6, and 7, that's okay. That's good. Use it as an opportunity to have snacks that are high protein. Another thing that I love to make is overnight oats. You can just grab it out of your fridge and like, bam, you've got 10 more grams of fiber. The fiber sources that I mostly have are peas, edamame, various fruits. I get salads a lot, so that has some roughage. I make Colombian bean soup sometimes because Colombian beans are the best beans. And then definitely the leafy green vegetables will add in some more fiber for me. If you are not able to get the fiber through your food, which many, many people aren't, you can add in, I take psyllium husk capsules. You have to take a ton of water when you have those. You can do like the Metamucil fiber. And then they have fiber gummies, which I think are okay, but I don't do them because I've heard some mixed things about those. And then I also do a prebiotic fiber powder that I'll add when I'm making a protein shake from powder at home. The reason why I like the psyllium husk fiber is because I'm worried about my cholesterol. I don't want to get into the science of it because I don't know it. But that was what I researched and I felt pretty confident. But then I've also seen people recommend inulin and acacia fibers. So that's why I use that prebiotic powder. Try to have it at least 1 or 2 servings a day. Start slowly. Too much fiber can cause more digestive issues, so you don't want to go too far off the deep end. But a consistent, moderate increase in fiber supports healthy digestion, helps you feel fuller. But honestly, on this medication, I'm never struggling to feel full. I'm struggling because I feel so full. And then the really important reason to take fiber on these medications is because it helps you go to the bathroom. So that is something you always want to stay on top of. You never want to get kind of like behind the 8 ball. You always want to be regular. The fiber is my number 1 way to do that. But pair that with a lot of hydration because you don't just want the fiber to sit in your intestines and not move along. Okay, we got the digestion talk out of the way. Let's talk about a little bit of strategy. So you don't want to overdo it from the start. I kept telling myself, this is a year-long journey. Any one day doesn't matter. I just want to be consistent. So the 5th thing that you can do for yourself is set up long-term habits. So you're doing this for a year. You don't have to make big changes overnight, but you are going to make changes, and the medication is naturally going to make you make some changes. So one example for us is we're busy. I would order DoorDash a lot because it was just convenient for the family. Now that I'm on the medication, my stomach cannot handle like greasy or fried or heavy things. So I ended up ordering from places where the calories were at least written on the website. Who knows whether that's accurate or not. And I would try to order something light. So a salad with grilled chicken, a Mediterranean something, maybe like a pita with a lot of roughage, but definitely wouldn't do anything fried. Definitely would not do anything greasy. After about 6 months, I went and had a burger for my birthday from this amazing place. The best burger I'd ever had in my life. I ate about a third of it and I was sick for about 24 hours. So my stomach cannot handle the fatty, greasy stuff. Other people can. Ease into it. Dip your toe in the water. You do not want to have a bad incident when you're first starting. Let your body build up a track record. You're feeling good. Then if you want to ease into the greasy burger again, that's totally fine. Go for it. Please start with 1 bite. And don't think like I did, it's just a third of a burger. I'm sure I'm fine. Because then your stomach is cramping and you hate your life. It was so bad. It was so bad. All right. Tip number 6, you got to get a supportive community. I am really benefiting from my husband being on the medication as well. There are other great YouTube creators who have built great community. There's Facebook pages, there's subreddits, whatever it is, try to build a supportive community. Some people will tell friends who are not on it. At first, I really didn't tell anybody except for one friend. Now I tell people because I feel like it's unfair that I look so different and I'm not telling them. However, I know that I can open myself up to negative comments. You may not want to do that. Again, I didn't do it right away, but as time went on and I lost more weight, I just felt like it's more fair to be honest because I've struggled to lose weight my whole life. And if somebody loses weight and says, it's just diet and exercise, it's very confusing to me because I've tried that my whole life. Tip 7, work with your doctor to get blood work. I believe that the medical providers will always order blood work right at the beginning, but you want to establish a baseline. You want to know about your fasting glucose, your A1C, and all your cholesterol numbers. At least I wanted to know about that, and I didn't find good news, but I'm working on it. And I think that my doctor also did liver and kidney function tests. Everything came up good. She also tested for iron and I think other nutrient deficiencies. And I know that I was low in iron. That's something that I'm working on, but is not coming up quickly. As you progress, your provider can track your improvements with more blood work and then also address any problems that come up. If the medication needs adjusting or if you have side effects that persist, the blood work can help guide you. And then, of course, safety is number 1. This helps us to make safe, smart decisions. And we're looking at the total picture of overall health, not just like a number on the scale or even an A1C number. We're looking at our total health and we're addressing everything. All right, tip number 8, hydration and electrolytes. I'll show you what I'm drinking right now. Recess. So it's basically just a very overpriced magnesium drink, but it tastes good and it helps me hydrate and it's a treat. This is not an all the time drink for me. I love fizzy drinks. I drink a lot of sparkling water, but I also just do whatever I can to hydrate. Some people will add electrolytes, which again, I think are pretty overpriced because you could just put in some salt, some of that potassium light salt, maybe a little magnesium and make your own electrolyte mix. But my husband loves those electrolytes. He just pours a part of a packet in and drinks a ton of water that way. And also the electrolytes really perk him up. He gets very dehydrated, especially like the day after his shot day, and he needs the electrolytes. So that's fine. We'll spend the money on that. But for me, I don't really need them. I think drinking Recess is like a fun treat. I also take those Mag-O7 pills at night sometimes. And that just really helps relax me. I don't know if this is just a psychological thing or if magnesium really does help relax you, but I feel like very chill with that. Whatever you can do to stay hydrated, you can do like a squeeze of lemon in your water if you want, a little bit of juice. You can use one of those flavorings, the tablets, the electrolytes, plain water, big water bottle, whatever it is that you need to do to stay hydrated, do it because of the aforementioned fiber issues. But my husband and I both notice that we will get dehydrated after our shots, which frankly is very rewarding because now that I'm at a lower weight, I do not lose weight every day. Most days are just like this, and then I take my shot and I lose 2 pounds. And then I stay like this, and then I take my shot, and then I lose. So it's kind of fun to have the scale go down, but then the flip side is I'm being dehydrated. I don't want that, so I drink as much as I can. Okay, tip number 9, you want to find a simple recipe to meal prep. So again, we are eating to fuel our health. Another tip that I learned, this is like a bonus, 9B, is if you want to consistently eat healthy, you should eat food that's good enough tasting to physically get it into your body, but not so good tasting that you just want to eat unlimited food. So for me, that is called the Jennifer Aniston salad. You can Google it. And I've totally changed it at this point, but it's like veggies, green stuff, and then I put in vinegar and salt, and I love it so much. I also eat a ton of cottage cheese and pineapple. It gives me protein. It's a little bit sweet. It's a nice treat. And both of those are really easy for me to pull out of the fridge and whip up. With the Jennifer Aniston salad, I make a big bowl and then I'll either portion it into containers, or if I'm tired, I just leave it in the bowl. And the next day I scoop some out into my bowl. If I do not have this easy salad meal prepped, I am definitely going to eat less healthy food, less supportive foods for my body the next day. All right, tip number 10, sleep and rest. I got this Oura ring and I love it, but you do not have to do that. Your goal should be, at least if you're built like me, to get 8 hours of sleep, but 7.5 is okay. Once I fall below that, my little sleep score that my ring gives me drops off. And I don't know how scientific the Oura ring is, but I can tell that the next day I'm like grumpier, lower energy, and just kind of dragging in the afternoon. But if I get about 8 hours of quality sleep, I am doing a lot better the next day. So for me, that means that I have to try to be in bed for about 9 hours because I take about 30 to 45 minutes to pitter around and really go to sleep. And then in the morning, I kind of like to lay in bed and drag myself out of bed. So for me, that looks like a 9-hour chunk of time. So that's about 9:30 to about 6:30 in the morning. On those days that I was having the major fatigue, I was sleeping a solid 8 hours, like 9 hours in bed. And then I was taking like 3 to 4 hour naps. It was horrible, unsustainable. And I talked to my doctor and she just didn't have anything to say about that. So that was really frustrating. I ended up backing my dose down and it took my fatigue away. So talk to your doctor if you are having that. Hopefully they'll be a little more sympathetic. They'll understand that taking massive naps 1 or 2 days a week, that is not sustainable. Again, we're doing this for the long term. I cannot spend half my life napping. What worked was backing down one level on the dose. Tip number 11, mindfulness. So this is an extra thing that you might not worry about right away. But for me, the mindfulness is very important because it actually became very stressful. Not so much the act of taking care of myself, although that is an emotional thing you have to deal with where you're like, I'm the most important person in my life and my family right now. But what was really hard for me was that the world started looking differently to me. I didn't know what size clothes I wore. It was a very hard emotional journey. You may be able to identify with this, especially if you've had trauma associated with your body being a certain way in the past. And it was a lot to deal with. I have a therapist, but they're not a therapist who specializes in body issues. So we've talked about it some. But mostly I've just worked on, I have the Headspace app and I use it, but I should be using it more. And then I'm also just trying to be really honest with myself and take notes when I'm having a hard time processing something. The other thing that I do is I take each of my 5 senses when I get really overwhelmed and I say, okay, so right now I see a plant. Right now I hear whatever. Right now I smell whatever. Right now, I taste the recess I just drank. Right now, I can feel the skin of my fingertips. It sounds so silly, but it really helps just place me in the present. The other thing that I do is I'll take my hands and I put them right here and I hold my sternum and I just say, I'm safe, I'm okay. And somehow that really helps too. These are just my little mindfulness tips. It's weird that that's necessary on a health journey, but it definitely has been. Okay, so my daughter came back and put more makeup on me. So as the video goes on, I'm just getting more and more glammed up. I'm sure my eyes look crazy, but she's so cute, y'all. She's so cute. Okay, I wanted to talk about protein awareness. So this is not exactly in the early stages. You might notice it more in the middle of that first year. But if you're aware of it at the beginning, that might be beneficial to you. For me, because my doctor had recommended that I switch to like as close to a vegan diet as possible, my protein was getting really low. But also I was just spontaneously cutting my calories because that's what this medication makes you do. And it's harder to get protein in that way as well. So I was just not eating enough protein consistently. It could have contributed some to my fatigue, but I will say when I increased my protein, it didn't really seem to help the fatigue. So that's when I started adding in animal sources of protein. But also When you have lower calories, you have to work really hard on getting enough protein. And that's just how it is for anyone who is eating a lower calorie diet. So what I started doing for protein was getting the Fairlife milk, the protein shakes, both vegan and animal sources. I would have super coffees. When I'd make a latte, I would do it with the Fairlife milk. And then every time I would order a salad from Mendocino Farms, I would add double the lean protein. So that's what's really helped me to get enough protein. The reason why I say you should be aware of it at first is because it could help your fatigue. It's something that you're going to notice later on. So the more protein that you're eating when you're starting out, the less muscle loss that hopefully you would have as time goes on. Stay in control of what you can control and let everything else go, because again, this is a year-long journey at least. So you are building in healthy habits. Every time that you try to go to bed early and get a good night's sleep. For me, drinking a drink with magnesium or taking magnesium at night helps me sleep more. That is a healthy habit. Being aware of what I'm eating, that might look for you like tracking your calories. For me, it looks like tracking my macronutrients, trying to get enough fiber, doing the meal prepping. Let's say you have to get healthy fast food and you decide to get grilled nuggets instead of fried nuggets. All of these things are healthy habits that the medication is allowing you to put into place. And if you are doing all those things, that is amazing. That is amazing that you're building healthy habits. And if you are not doing all those things, that is totally okay too. That's what my doctor told me the first day. If you just take this medication and you make no effort, you will still have some health improvement and some weight loss. Amazing. That is great. This is not a morality issue. What I thought about weight loss in the past was I actually saw it as a morality issue, and that is not what this is. We are all just trying to do the best we can. But for me, mentally, emotionally, and physically, I do feel better if I'm able to have some healthier habits, get my fiber, get my protein, also get my coffee in the morning. These are all things that make me feel better. So I'm going to keep trying to do that because I feel better and I am the only person that I can control. So if I sound preachy right now, it's because I'm preaching to myself because I have a lifetime of people pleasing that I have to reprogram and I'm putting myself first. The most important thing to me is that I'm able to take care of myself because I deserve it. I deserve it. You deserve it. If you're like me, you just have to keep telling yourself, okay, sorry. And bonus tip, stay flexible, stay hopeful. For me, telling myself that this is going to be a year-long journey minimum lets me be flexible. When there were shortages, it was stressful. Right now, we have the compounding stress to think about. Don't worry about it. You are flexible. You got this. You can do this. I promise. It's amazing. All right, guys. And just remember, there is no perfect. You can never do your life perfectly. You're just on a journey, and this medication is making the journey easier. So starting Ozempic or Zepbound or whatever you choose to start is a big step. Commit to at least a year. So remember, lean on your provider for help. Don't sweat every small hiccup. Be sure that you're getting enough sleep, a healthy amount of exercise, and a community that you can trust, at least one trusted person. Bonus points for you if you can practice mindfulness. Bonus points for you if you find an exercise that you like to do and a meal that you like to prepare. And I believe that you will thrive on this medication. All right, so thanks for being here. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the YouTube-y things. Today, I'm going to give you permission to do something extra for your health, even if that means ignoring other things that you feel like you should do. You get to be the number one priority and take care of yourself, whatever that looks like for you. Thanks, y'all. Bye.